Hi, the ones where the person gets blindsided by the person they trusted most. But here I am, staring at my screen, wondering how the hell my life unraveled so fast. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Jake. I'm 27, and up until last week, I was engaged to a woman I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. Her name is Emily. We've been together for almost 6 years. I proposed last year, thinking we were rock solid. Emily was everything I wasn't: spontaneous, carefree, the kind of person who could turn a trip to the grocery store into an adventure. Me? I'm more of a planner. I work in construction, running my own small business, and I like stability. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe I wasn't exciting enough. Or maybe she was just a selfish, lying piece of sh*t. I didn't suspect anything at first. Sure, Emily had been distant lately, glued to her phone, laughing at messages she wouldn't share. But I chalked it up to stress. Wedding planning was overwhelming, right? Then came the night that shattered everything. I got home late from a job site, exhausted, and found her asleep on the couch, phone in her hand. Normally, I wouldn't snoop, I trusted her. But something in my gut told me to look. And that's when my whole world came crashing down. I saw texts. Hundreds of them. Explicit, disgusting messages. But the worst part? The name attached to them. My own F***king brother, Ryan. I don't remember how long I sat there staring at the screen, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My hands were shaking, my stomach twisted in knots, but I kept scrolling. I couldn't stop. It was like my brain refused to believe what I was seeing, so I had to keep looking, keep reading, hoping I'd find some explanation that made it all not real. But it was real. Every filthy, gut-wrenching detail. The messages weren't vague, weren't just flirty texts that could be brushed off. No, they were explicit. Descriptive. The kind of things I had never even heard Emily say to me in the 6 years we'd been together. The kind of things that made my skin crawl, my blood boil. There were dates, too. I did the math in my head. While I was out busting my ass on job sites, trying to build a future for us, she was with him. While we were picking out wedding venues, tasting cakes, planning our honeymoon, she was sneaking off to his place. Some of the messages were from nights when she told me she was staying in to relax. Nights when I had kissed her goodbye and told her I loved her. And Ryan? My own F***king brother. He knew. He knew what she meant to me, how much I loved her, how I was planning to spend my life with her. And he still did this. I felt sick. I barely made it to the bathroom before I threw up. I don't know how long I sat on the floor after that, staring at the tiles, my mind racing in circles. Anger, sadness, humiliation, every emotion I'd ever felt, all at once. I wanted to wake her up right then, shove the phone in her face, demand answers. But I didn't. I couldn't. I wasn't ready. Instead, I did something I never thought I'd do. I took screenshots. Every single message. I sent them to myself, to make sure I had proof. And then I sat back on the couch, watching her sleep, wondering how the hell I had been so blind. I thought about every moment in our relationship, every time she said she loved me, every time she looked me in the eyes and promised me forever. Was any of it real? Had I just been some convenient option until something better came along? Until she decided that sneaking around with my own flesh and blood was more exciting than the life we were building together? I barely slept that night. I just sat there, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breath, my mind racing with a million questions. By the time morning came, I knew one thing for sure: I wasn't going to let this slide. I wasn't going to be the guy who got played and did nothing about it. I was going to make damn sure they both paid for what they did to me. Part February 15th. Let me know if you want me to continue. The next morning felt surreal. I watched the sun creep through the blinds, bathing the room in an eerie, golden glow. Emily was still curled up on the couch, sleeping peacefully, as if she hadn't just ripped my heart out and stomped all over it. I sat there for a long time, gripping my phone, rereading those messages over and over again. Maybe a part of me thought that if I kept staring at them, something would change. Maybe it would turn out to be a misunderstanding, a cruel prank, a mistake. But there was no mistaking the words, the photos, the videos, yes, videos. I forced myself to go through them, even though every second of it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. The way she laughed with him, the way she touched him. The same way she used to touch me. Maybe even more passionately. And Ryan? My own King blood. He wasn't just some random guy. He was my brother. The same guy I grew up with, the guy who had my back through thick and thin. Or so I thought. I had spent my whole life looking out for him. I covered for him when he got in trouble as a kid. I loaned him money when he was struggling. Hell, when he needed a job, I brought him into my own business. And this was how he repaid me. By sneaking around with my fiancée behind my back. Something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to let her wake up and gaslight me, wasn't going to let her manipulate me with fake tears and half-assed apologies. I needed proof. I needed control. So I kept my cool. I took a deep breath, got up, and walked to the kitchen. Made coffee. Acted like everything was normal. When she finally stirred awake, stretching and rubbing her eyes like she hadn't just detonated my entire world, I forced myself to smile. "Morning, babe," she mumbled, still groggy. I handed her a cup of coffee. "Morning." My voice was steady. Too steady. It was the kind of calm you feel right before a storm wrecks everything in its path. She sat up, took a sip, and yawned. "Ugh, I feel so groggy. What time did you get home?" There it was. The first lie of the morning. I knew exactly when I got home. I knew exactly what she was doing when I walked in. But I played along. "Late," I said, taking a sip of my own coffee. "You were already asleep." She nodded, completely unaware of what was coming. "Yeah. I was exhausted. Just knocked out on the couch." Another lie. I studied her, wondering how many other lies she had told me over the years. How many times had she looked me in the eyes and said she loved me, knowing damn well she was sneaking off to be with someone else, my own brother. My fingers twitched around my coffee cup. I wanted to snap. Wanted to scream at her. But I held back. "Not yet." "I was thinking," I said instead, my voice even. "We should go out tonight. Have a nice dinner. Just us." Her face lit up. "Really?" "Yeah," I nodded, giving her my best impression of a loving fiancé. "I feel like we haven't spent enough time together lately. Thought we could go somewhere fancy. Celebrate us." She actually blushed. Smiled like she had no clue what was coming. "Oh my God, that sounds amazing," she said, setting her coffee down. "Let me see if I have a dress for tonight." She kissed my cheek and got up, heading to the bedroom to rummage through her closet. And I just stood there, staring at my phone, my hands tightening into fists. I had a plan now. And it started tonight. The rest of the day felt like a game of poker where I was holding the deadliest hand, and she had no idea. Emily was in a great mood, practically glowing as she picked out a dress for our special night. She twirled around in front of the mirror, asking for my opinion, giggling like she hadn't just destroyed everything we had built. I played along, nodding, smiling. I even kissed her forehead. It made my skin crawl, but I needed her to believe everything was fine. Meanwhile, I was making moves. First, I called my bank. Froze the joint wedding account. She wasn't going to get a single cent of the money I had saved up for our future. Not after what she had done. Next, I called my best friend, Tyler. He had always been the guy I could trust with anything. I told him everything, every disgusting detail, every message, every betrayal. Dude, he breathed. Ryan? Your own brother? Yeah. My jaw was clenched so tight I could barely speak. I need you to do something for me. Anything, man. I need you to meet me at the Grove tonight. Fancy steakhouse downtown. I'll text you the time. Just trust me on this. There was a brief pause. You're not gonna, murder them, right? I almost laughed at that. No. But I am gonna make sure they never forget this night for the rest of their lives. He didn't ask any more questions. Just agreed. That's why Tyler was my best friend. By the time evening rolled around, Emily was practically bouncing with excitement. She had dolled herself up, wearing the red dress I had always loved on her. The same dress she had probably worn for him at some point, and the thought made me grip the steering wheel a little too tight as I drove us to the restaurant. I still acted normal. Made small talk. Even reached over to hold her hand at one point, and she squeezed mine back like we were still that perfect couple. Inside, the restaurant was dimly lit, fancy as hell. Candlelight, white tablecloths, soft jazz playing in the background. The perfect setting for what I was about to do. We ordered drinks. She got wine. I got whiskey. I needed something strong to keep me from flipping the table right then and there. She looked at me across the table, her eyes soft. This is really sweet of you, Jake. I smiled. Of course. Anything for you. She sighed happily, completely oblivious. You know, I feel like we've been so busy lately, we haven't really had time for us. I took a sip of my drink, letting the irony sink in. That's actually something I wanted to talk to you about, I said, leaning forward. Us. Her smile didn't waver. Yeah. I pulled my phone from my pocket, unlocking it with one hand. My heart was pounding, but I kept my face neutral as I scrolled to the screenshots. One by one, I started sliding my phone across the table. The first message dot. Then the next dot. Then another. At first, she didn't get it. She glanced down, her eyes scanning the screen lazily. But then I saw it, the exact second her brain registered what she was looking at. Her whole body went rigid. Her eyes darted up to me, wide, panicked. Jake. I slid another screenshot across the table. And another. Her hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. I just stared at her, my expression blank. Keep reading. She did. Her hands were trembling as she scrolled through the evidence, her face draining of all color. The waiter appeared beside us, oblivious. Are we ready to order? Emily looked up, her mouth opening and closing like a fish, but no words came out. I smiled at the waiter. I think we'll need a few more minutes. As soon as he walked away, she leaned in, her voice shaking. Jake, please, just. I cut her off. How long? She blinked rapidly. What? I pointed at the phone. How long have you been King my brother? Her whole face crumpled. Jake, I swear, How? Long. Her lip quivered. Almost a year. A whole year. A whole goddamn year. I sat back, exhaling slowly. I already knew the answer, but hearing her say it out loud. It felt like someone had driven a nail straight through my chest. She reached for my hand. Baby, please. I yanked it away. Don't. Touch me. She flinched. Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't care. Not anymore. I leaned forward, lowering my voice just enough. Did you ever love me? She gasped like I had just slapped her. Of course I did. I still do. I laughed. Actually laughed. Right. You love me so much that you spent the last year screwing my brother behind my back. She started sobbing. It wasn't like that. I tilted my head. Then what was it like, Emily? Explain it to me. Please, I'd love to hear your reasoning. She was shaking now, mascara streaking down her face. I made a mistake. I let out a slow, bitter exhale. No, Emily. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk at the store. What you did. That was a choice. She opened her mouth to say something else, but at that moment, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. Tyler was here. Right on time. I smirked. Oh, by the way. We're not alone tonight. She frowned, confused. And then Tyler walked in. And right behind him. Ryan. The second Emily saw them, her whole body went stiff. Her already tear-streaked face drained of all color, and for a moment, she just stared like she was hoping this was some kind of sick dream. But it wasn't. Tyler walked in first, casual as ever, his hands in his pockets. He spotted me, nodded slightly, then turned his attention to Emily. He gave her the kind of smile that wasn't really a smile at all, more like the expression a person makes when they're watching a slow-motion train wreck. Then came Ryan. The moment my brother locked eyes with me, he froze. His face didn't go pale like Emily's did, no, he just clenched his jaw, that same cocky, nonchalant expression I'd seen on him 100 times before. But this time, it didn't work. I could see the nervousness creeping in behind his eyes. He knew. He knew why he was here. I leaned back in my chair, taking my sweet time as I sipped my whiskey. I let the tension stretch out between us like a live wire, watching as Emily fidgeted and Ryan shifted his weight like he was ready to bolt. Have a seat, I finally said, motioning to the 2 empty chairs at our table. Ryan hesitated. Jake. I tilted my head, my voice smooth. I wasn't asking. That did it. Tyler clapped Ryan on the shoulder, hard, and forced him down into the chair. He was grinning, but there was a sharpness in his eyes that let me know he was enjoying this just as much as I was. Emily was already sniffling beside me, wiping her cheeks like it would somehow erase the situation she had put herself in. Ryan exhaled sharply, rubbing a hand over his jaw. Look, man. I cut him off with a chuckle. No, no. I'm dying to hear it, Ryan. What exactly do you have to say for yourself? Silence. That was what I thought. I turned to Emily, who was staring at the table like it had personally offended her. And you, I said, tapping my fingers against my glass. Now's your chance, Em. Tell me how much you love me again. Her lip trembled. Jake, please. Tell me, I pressed, my voice calm but sharp. Tell me how much I meant to you while you were sneaking off to my brother's place. While I was out busting my ass for our future. She swallowed hard. I made a mistake. There it is again, I mused, looking at Tyler. That word. Mistake. He grinned. Yeah, they really like using that one, huh? Ryan finally snapped. He slammed a hand on the table. Alright, enough of this **T. I turned to him, my smile fading. Oh. You don't like this, Ryan? Feeling a little uncomfortable. His jaw tightened. You brought us here just to humiliate us. I let out a dry laugh. Oh no, Ryan. You humiliated yourself when you decided to crawl into bed with my fiancée. I'm just making sure you get the proper recognition for it. He huffed, shaking his head. Look, it just happened, all right? We didn't mean for it to. I slammed my drink down so hard the ice rattled. Don't. You. F***ing. Dare. My voice was quiet, but I could see the way it made him flinch. It didn't just happen, Ryan. You made a choice. She made a choice. Every single time you snuck around, every single time you sent one of those messages, every time you laughed at me behind my back, those were choices. Emily reached for my hand again, her fingers icy. Jake, please, can we just... I yanked my hand away so fast she gasped. No, Emily. We can't. You don't get to cry your way out of this one. You don't get to beg me to talk when you spent a whole goddamn year lying to my face. She sobbed, full on breaking down now, but I wasn't done. I turned back to Ryan, leaning in slightly. Here's what's gonna happen. You're dead to me. Don't text me. Don't call me. Don't show up to family gatherings acting like nothing happened. You and I. We're done. Ryan swallowed but didn't say anything. He knew there was nothing he could say to fix this. Then I turned to Emily. And you? You can pack your sh*t as soon as we get home. You're out. Her eyes widened in full-blown panic. What? Jake, no, please. Can we just... No, my voice was final. You don't get to beg. You don't get to fix this. I stood up, throwing a few bills on the table. You made your choice, Emily. Now you get to live with it. I turned to Tyler, who was grinning like Christmas came early. You ready? Hell yeah. I shot one last glance at Ryan, who still looked like he wanted to punch a hole through the table. Then I turned to Emily, whose mascara-streaked face was frozen in horror. And without another word, I walked out of the restaurant and out of both of their lives for good. Walking out of that restaurant felt like stepping out of a burning building. I could still hear Emily's muffled sobs behind me, Ryan's heavy breathing, the quiet murmurs of people who had definitely overheard everything. But I didn't care. The second the cool night air hit my face, I felt something I hadn't felt in what seemed like forever, clarity. Tyler kept pace beside me, stuffing his hands in his pockets. That was the most satisfying sh*t I've ever seen. I let out a slow exhale. Yeah, well, I'm not done yet. We got into my truck, and I just sat there for a second, gripping the wheel. My body was still buzzing with adrenaline, but underneath that, there was this weird, hollow feeling. I had spent 6 years with Emily. 6F** years. And in a single night, all of it was gone. The life we planned. Gone. The wedding. Gone. The woman I thought I knew. Never even existed. It should have made me feel empty. But instead. It just made me angry. Tyler tapped the dashboard. So, what's next? You need help throwing her sh*t out. I smirked. That, and I've got a few more things to take care of first. By the time we pulled up to the house, Emily was already there. I could see her silhouette through the front window, pacing back and forth like a trapped animal. The moment I walked inside, she rushed toward me, her face still streaked with tears. Jake, please, let's just... I held up a hand. Don't. Speak. She froze. I walked past her, straight into our bedroom, and grabbed a suitcase from the closet. I tossed it onto the bed, unzipped it, and turned to her. Start packing. Her breath hitched. Jake, please, I don't have anywhere to go. I let out a humorless laugh. Oh, I'm sure Ryan will be happy to take you in. I mean, that is who you chose, isn't it? She shook her head violently. No. I chose you. I always chose you, I just... Stop, I cut in, my voice sharp. I don't want to hear it. Not a single excuse. Not a single lie. I pointed at the suitcase. Pack your SHT and get out. Her lip quivered, and for a split second, I almost saw the Emily I fell in love with. The girl who used to dance around the kitchen while making pancakes, who used to leave sticky notes on my lunchbox with dumb little jokes, who used to look at me like I was her whole world. But that girl wasn't real. She was just a mask. And now I saw her for exactly who she was. She started sobbing as she threw clothes into the suitcase, her hands shaking. "Jake, please, don't do this. We can fix this. We can go to therapy." I was stupid, I wasn't thinking. "You were thinking plenty," I said coldly. "Every time you snuck off to be with him, you were thinking. Every time you sent those texts, you were thinking. Every time you looked me in the eyes and lied, you were thinking." She sobbed harder, collapsing onto the bed. I didn't feel bad for her. I wasn't the one who destroyed us. She did. Tyler leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Need me to take the suitcase out?" "Yeah," I said. "Take it to the porch." Emily looked up at him, desperate. "Tyler, please, help me talk to him. You know he loves me. We've been together forever." Tyler snorted. "Lady, I don't think you realize, cheating on your fiancé is kinda the fastest way to make sure that forever *T never happens." Her face crumpled. But I messed up. I was scared. I cut her off again. "You were selfish. That's what you were. You didn't mess up, Emily. You made a choice. And now you get to live with it." I turned and walked out of the bedroom, done. Just done. Tyler followed me, dragging the suitcase behind him. Emily trailed after us, still pleading. Still crying. But I didn't turn around. I opened the front door, motioned to Tyler, and he set the suitcase down on the porch. Then I turned back to her. "Leave." She shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Jake, please." I didn't budge. Didn't blink. "Leave." She just stood there, trembling, her whole body shaking like she couldn't believe this was happening. Good. She should feel something after what she put me through. Finally, with a choked sob, she grabbed the suitcase and walked out. I didn't watch her go. I just slammed the door behind her, locked it, and leaned against it, exhaling hard. Tyler let out a low whistle. Damn. That was brutal. I ran a hand down my face. Had to be done. Silence stretched between us for a few moments before Tyler clapped me on the shoulder. "You did good, man. She didn't deserve you." I nodded, swallowing hard. "Yeah." But even as I said it, a strange hollowness settled in my chest. She was gone. It was over. And now, I had to figure out what came next. After Emily left, the silence in the house was deafening. For 6 years, this place had been ours. Every room held memories, some good, some bad, but now it felt like a hollow shell. Like the second she walked out, she took something with her. Or maybe I was just finally seeing it for what it was. Tyler was still there, sitting on my couch, sipping a beer he had pulled from my fridge like it was just a regular Friday night. He was watching me, though, studying me like he was waiting for the dam to break. I sat down across from him, exhaling sharply. "You all right?" he asked. I shrugged. "I don't know." He nodded slowly, setting his beer down. "Makes sense. That was a lot." I huffed out a dry laugh. "Yeah, no *T. He leaned forward, resting his arms on his knees. "Listen, man. I know right now it probably feels like someone ripped your heart out, chewed it up, and spat it back at you. And honestly, that's 'cause they did." I shot him a look. "Wow, thanks, Tyler. Real motivational speech there." He smirked. "But you did the right thing. No hesitation, no second chances, just boom, out she goes. Not a lot of guys would have handled it like that. Some would have let her talk her way back in, let her twist things. But you shut that sh*t down fast. I didn't say anything, just stared at the table. Because the truth was, I had considered it. Not in a serious way. But there had been that moment, that tiny sliver of doubt, where I looked at her crying on the bed and wondered if maybe, just maybe, she did still love me. If maybe I was throwing away something that could still be fixed. But then I reminded myself of those messages. Those videos. The way she had looked at Ryan, talked to him, given herself to him like I never even existed. And just like that, the doubt disappeared. Yeah, I muttered. I couldn't let her stay. Tyler nodded approvingly. Damn right. I rubbed my temples. But now what? I mean, my whole life was planned out with her. We had a wedding booked. A house together. I don't even know where to start. Tyler leaned back, stretching his arms. Well, first things first, you cancel the wedding. Then, you take a deep breath, get your SHT together, and start fresh. It's not gonna be easy, but trust me, man. In a year, you'll look back at this and thank God you didn't marry that cheating BTCH. I sighed, nodding. Guess I better start making calls. And that's exactly what I did. The next morning, I canceled everything. The venue. The catering. The photographer. Even the damn honeymoon. Some of them gave me full refunds, others kept deposits, but I didn't care. The money didn't matter. What mattered was wiping every trace of that wedding off the map. By the afternoon, my phone was buzzing non-stop. Emily, Jake, please, can we talk? Emily, I know you're mad, but I still love you. Emily, I don't know what to do. I messed up, but I need you. I didn't answer. Then came my parents. Mom, Jake, honey, I just heard from Emily. She's devastated. Maybe you two should talk. Dad, son, I know you're hurting, but think about this before you make any rash decisions. I didn't answer them either. Then. Ryan. Ryan, dude, I've get up. I know I did. But please, can we talk, asterisk. That was the one that set me off. I stared at my phone for a long time, debating if I should just block him. But no. That was too easy. He deserved worse. So instead, I typed out one message. Me, you made your choice. Now live with it. Don't ever contact me again. Then I blocked his number. Tyler was right. I was done. Done with Emily. Done with Ryan. Done with anyone who thought I should forgive them just because they felt bad now. It was time to move forward. Even if I had no idea what that looked like yet. I thought cutting them off would bring me peace. That after blocking Emily and Ryan, after canceling the wedding, after throwing her sh*t out of my house, I'd feel some kind of relief. But if I'm being honest, it didn't feel like anything at all. Just emptiness. The house was too quiet. The space where her things used to be felt like a gaping hole. I kept catching myself expecting to hear her humming in the kitchen, expecting to smell her perfume when I walked into a room. But there was nothing. I spent the first few days pretending I was fine. Went to work, did my job, came home, cracked open a beer, and stared at the TV without actually watching it. Tyler checked in on me constantly, but I think even he could tell I wasn't really there. Then, about a week later, my mom showed up at my house. I had just gotten back from work when I saw her car in the driveway. She was standing on my porch, arms crossed, waiting. I already knew this wasn't going to be good. Mom, I said, sighing as I stepped out of my truck. Jake. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were full of something I couldn't quite place. I walked up the steps, pulling my keys from my pocket. What are you doing here? She hesitated. We need to talk. I clenched my jaw. If this is about Emily. She's devastated, Jake. I barked out a laugh, shoving my keys into the door. Good. Mom let out a sharp breath. Jake, I'm not saying what she did was right, but she made a mistake. People make mistakes. There it was. That F*** word again. I turned to face her, my temper flaring. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk from the store. What Emily did was a choice, and she made it for a whole f***ing year. Mom flinched but held her ground. I don't want you to do something you'll regret. I let out a bitter laugh. Regret? The only thing I regret is not seeing through her bullsh*t sooner. She sighed, rubbing her temples. I understand you're angry, but she's been calling me non-stop. She wants to talk to you, and I think. No, I said, firm. We have nothing to talk about. She made a mistake. Stop calling it that. I snapped, louder than I meant to. Mom's eyes widened. I exhaled, trying to keep my voice steady. If you want to talk to her, go ahead. But I'm done. She's done. And if you're here to guilt me into changing my mind, you're wasting your time. She was quiet for a long time. Then, finally, she nodded. All right, she said softly. I just needed to say my piece. I turned back to the door, unlocking it. You done now? She hesitated again, then said, Jake, he's still your brother. I froze. I could feel my grip tightening on the doorknob, my jaw clenching so hard it hurt. He was my brother, I muttered. Now. He's nothing to me. Mom exhaled, and I could tell she wanted to argue, but she didn't. Instead, she just gave me a sad look and stepped off the porch. I didn't watch her leave. I just went inside, locked the door behind me, and sat on the couch, staring at the wall. I had lost Emily. I had lost Ryan. And now? Now I was losing my family, too. After my mom left, I sat in that damn silence for what felt like hours. Just staring at the walls, at the empty spaces where Emily's things used to be. It wasn't just the loss of her that was hitting me. It was the fact that, in one F*** week, my entire life had been flipped upside down. I lost my fiancée. I lost my brother. And now, my own mother was trying to guilt me into forgiving them like it was some minor mistake. I don't know how long I sat there, but eventually, I grabbed my keys and left. I needed to get out, to breathe, to not be in that house drowning in memories. I ended up at a bar. Some low-key spot on the other side of town where no one knew me. I wasn't in the mood for company. I just needed a drink, or 5. I ordered whiskey, downed it fast, then signaled for another. That's when someone slid onto the bar stool next to me. Rough night? A voice asked. I glanced over and saw a woman. Blonde hair, green eyes, casually dressed. Not the kind of person you'd usually find in a dive bar like this. I let out a humorless laugh. More like a rough F** week. She nodded like she understood, then waved to the bartender. One more for him. And I'll take a beer. I studied her for a second. You don't even know me. She shrugged. You looked like you needed another drink. Fair enough. The bartender set my glass down, and I took another sip, sighing. She took a sip of her beer, then turned to me. So, what happened? I gave her a sideways glance. What makes you think something happened? She smirked. Come on. You've got that look. Like the weight of the world just got dumped on your shoulders. I exhaled slowly, running a hand through my hair. What the hell? Maybe I needed to get it off my chest. My fiancé cheated on me, I said, staring into my drink. With my brother. She let out a low whistle. Damn. Yeah. Silence stretched between us for a moment before she spoke again. So, what are you gonna do now? I scoffed. F***ck if I know. She tilted her head, studying me. You know, you don't look like the kind of guy who just rolls over and lets people walk all over him. I frowned. I'm not. Then why are you sitting in a bar feeling sorry for yourself instead of making them regret it? That caught me off guard. I looked at her, really looked at her, and there was something in her eyes, something sharp, knowing. Like she'd been through this before. I leaned back slightly. And what do you suggest? She smirked, taking another sip of her beer. That depends. Do you want to move on? Or do you want to make them pay? I didn't answer right away. Because the truth was. I wanted both. I stared at the woman sitting next to me, her words echoing in my head. Move on, or make them pay. I took another sip of my whiskey, letting the burn settle before I spoke. And what would you do? She smirked, leaning on the bar. Me? I'd do both. I arched an eyebrow. Both? She nodded, casually swirling her beer bottle. See, the best revenge isn't just F***ing someone over. It's showing them that they never mattered. That their betrayal was nothing more than a stepping stone to something better. I tilted my head. And you sound like someone who's done this before. She grinned. Let's just say I have experience in dealing with lying, cheating assholes. I exhaled, shaking my head. I don't even know where to start. She took another sip of her beer, then turned toward me fully. All right, let's break it down. First, what's your biggest regret about this whole thing? I frowned. Spending 6 years with a woman who never actually loved me. She waved a hand. Nah, forget her for a second. I mean, if you could undo something, what would it be? I thought about it for a moment, then sighed. Bringing my brother into my business. I gave him a job when he had nothing, helped him get on his feet, and in return, he F***ed my fiancée behind my back. Her eyes glinted. So, take it back. I let out a dry laugh. Easier said than done. She shrugged. Is it? You're the boss, aren't you? I sat there for a second, just staring at her. And suddenly, I saw it. She was right. I was the boss. I owned my company. I signed his paychecks. I gave him a job when no one else would. And I could take it away just as easily. I pulled out my phone right then and there, scrolling through my contacts until I found my business partner, Mark. I hit dial. He answered on the second ring. Jake. What's up, man? Hey, Mark, I said, keeping my voice steady. We need to talk about Ryan. There was a brief silence. Then, I was wondering when you'd call about that. I exhaled. You know. Dude, half the crew knows. People saw Emily sneaking around, but no one wanted to be the one to tell you. I clenched my jaw. F***ing great. Mark sighed. Listen, man, you want me to fire him? I smirked. No, Mark. I want you to promote him. Another silence. What? I leaned forward, my voice dark. I want you to promote him to a site supervisor. Make it sound like a huge deal. Give him just enough responsibility to make him think he's moving up. Then, in a few weeks, we start pinning all the *TTY projects on him. Every deadline that runs late, every client complaint, we funnel it straight to his desk. Mark let out a low whistle. Damn. That's cold. He F***ed around, I said. Now he finds out. Mark was quiet for a moment. Then, finally, he chuckled. Alright, boss. Consider it done. I hung up and set my phone down, exhaling. The woman next to me raised an eyebrow. Feel better? I smirked. A little. She clinked her beer bottle against my glass. Good. Now, on to phase 2. I arched an eyebrow. There's a phase 2. She grinned. Oh, definitely. You're not just gonna take back your career. You're gonna take back your life. And for the first time in a long time, I actually felt like I could. Over the next few days, I started making changes. Ryan got his promotion and was already bragging about it to the crew. Meanwhile, Mark and I were setting up every failure to land directly on his desk. Delayed shipments. His fault. Miscommunication with a client. His mistake. I wasn't just firing him, I was making sure he burned his own bridge. But that was just the career part. The next step. Me. The woman from the bar, her name was Hannah, was right. I couldn't just get revenge. I had to rebuild. So, I hit the gym. Hard. Every morning before work, I was there, pushing my body, letting all the anger, all the frustration, pour out in sweat. It wasn't just about looking better, it was about feeling better. I also started going out more. Tyler made sure of that. No more sitting at home, drowning in memories. We hit bars, clubs, even tried out a boxing gym. Anything to remind myself that my life didn't revolve around a cheating ex and a traitor brother. Emily tried reaching out a few more times. Emily, Jake, please, can we just talk? Emily, I miss you. I made a mistake, but we were happy before. Can't we just go back? I didn't respond. Because the truth was, I wasn't going back. I was only moving forward. It didn't take long for Ryan's promotion to start crumbling around him. Mark and I made sure of that. Clients were pissed, deadlines were missed, and every screw-up pointed directly back to him. The crew wasn't blind, they saw through his arrogance, and soon enough, the respect he thought he had, gone. One afternoon, I got a call from Mark. He's losing it, man, he chuckled. Snapped at a client today. She's threatening to leave the company. I smirked. Good. Give it another week. Ryan had no clue that the walls were closing in. And Emily? She was still trying to reach out. More texts. More voicemails. The desperation was creeping in. Emily, Jake, I heard about Ryan. Please, just talk to me. I never wanted any of this. Emily, I don't love him. I love you. I was stupid. Please, don't shut me out. Emily, Jake. I stared at her messages for a long time before finally typing a response. Me, you made your choice. Now live with it. Then, for the final time, I blocked her number. Tyler and Hannah were right, this wasn't just about revenge. This was about closing the door for good. And as I hit block, I felt lighter. For the first time in a long time. I was free. A week later, Ryan finally snapped. Mark called me that morning, laughing so hard I could barely understand him. Dude, your brother just stormed into the office, red as hell, screaming about how he's being set up. I smirked, leaning back in my chair. And what did you tell him? Mark snorted. Told him if he can't handle responsibility, maybe he's not cut out for the job. He started losing his sh*t, threw a clipboard at the wall, and stormed out. Didn't even finish the workday. I exhaled slowly. Good. Later that afternoon, I made it official. I called Ryan myself and fired his ass. Are you *king kidding me? He spat. After everything I've done for this company? I actually laughed. You mean after everything I did for you? You were nothing before I hired you, Ryan. And now? Now you're nothing again. Silence. Then, a bitter chuckle. This is about Emily, isn't it? I shook my head. No, Ryan. This is about you. About the fact that you had my back for years, and the second it benefited you, you stabbed me in it. More silence. Then, quietly, almost pleading, Jake, come on, man. We're brothers. I clenched my jaw. No. We were. And with that, I hung up. Ryan was out of a job. Emily was out of my life. And for the first time in a long time, I was winning. Ryan was gone. Emily was gone. And for the first time in years, I wasn't carrying their weight anymore. I thought I'd feel empty after cutting them both out. That maybe, in some twisted way, I'd still miss something about what we had before. But I didn't. I felt lighter. Over the next few weeks, my life started taking shape again. Work was smoother without Ryan screwing things up. The gym became a routine, not just a distraction. Tyler and I started going out more, meeting new people, actually living. And then there was Hannah. At first, I figured she was just someone I'd talk to that night at the bar, one of those passing conversations you never think about again. But we kept running into each other. First at the gym. Then at a coffee shop. Then at a bar again, where she rolled her eyes and said, all right, if we're gonna keep running into each other, we might as well make it official. That was our first real date. Turns out, she had her own *TTYX story, different, but just as painful. Maybe that's why she saw right through me that first night. She knew what I needed to hear. And now? Now she was starting to be someone I actually wanted around. One night, after a long day, she and I were sitting on my porch, drinking beers, looking up at the sky. She turned to me and smirked. So, what's next for you, Jake? I exhaled, staring into the dark. I don't know. But for the first time in a long time, I actually feel excited to figure it out. She clinked her bottle against mine. Good answer. Part 14/15. Let me know if you want me to continue. It's been a few months now since everything went down. Since I walked out of that restaurant, since I threw Emily out of my house, since I made damn sure Ryan lost more than just my trust. And looking back, I have no regrets. Ryan moved to another city. I heard through the grapevine that he tried getting another construction job, but word gets around. No one wanted to hire a guy with a reputation for screwing over his own brother. Last I heard, he's working some dead-end retail job, barely getting by. Emily. She tried reaching out again. Even after I blocked her, she emailed me. Emily, Jake, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I messed up in ways I can't even explain. I ruined us. I regret it every single day. I didn't respond. Because her regrets weren't my problem anymore. My life is better now. I'm better now. My business is thriving without Ryan dragging it down. I'm in the best shape I've ever been. And Hannah? Well, let's just say she's been good for me. She pushes me forward, keeps me grounded, and reminds me that life doesn't end just because someone *CKs you over. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's this. Betrayal doesn't define you. What you do after it does. And me? I chose to move the *CK on.